So now something big needs to happen. You got your prime suspect, but you don't have his DNA. I mean, you may have an old sample of it, but you need a present day sample from this man you've identified as DeAngelo. And tell us what happened there, because there were 2 passes at it.
So I had driven up to his house and, seen his car in the driveway, knew he was living there. And that was literally the last thing I did. And debated if I should get a DNA sample, just knock on his door and say, "Hey, Joe, this is Paul Holes and blah, 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 can I get a DNA sample and eliminate him?" But I decided there was too much on him and drove away. I then retired the next day. But then once I'm retired, we get him under surveillance. And so Sacramento Homicide and FBI start surveilling him. And at a certain point, he drives to a Hobby Lobby. And he actually had a hobby of building these remote controlled airplanes out of wood. So he's going there, Hobby Lobby, as he's building another plane. And while he's at the Hobby Lobby, an undercover agent swabs his car door handle. And that's submitted to the Sacramento lab. I happen to be in Colorado Springs buying a house during this time. And I'm getting updated on how the surveillance is going. I'm at P.F. Chang's with my wife. We're celebrating putting an offer on a house. And Lieutenant Kirk Campbell from SACDA's office, is calling me. I figured it's another update on the case. I excuse myself. I go stand outside. It's snowing. And instead of the typical salutation, "Hey, Paul, how's it going?" It's, "Paul, you can't tell anybody this." I was like, "Oh, here's something." And Kirk tells me, "Hey, I don't know exactly what it means, but we got that car door handle, the DNA results back, and the lab's really excited. There's a lot of markers that are matching up with the Golden State Killer." And Kirk's not a DNA guy. And I said, "Okay, Kirk, how many markers?" And he said, "Well, they got 21 markers."
Kirk, that's all of them.
I said, "Kirk, it's him." So now we finish up that conversation. I go back into the restaurant, and I'm now, kind of in this weird state. I've been on this case for 24 years. I now know DeAngelo's the Golden State Killer. And so I'm in this numb space emotionally. I sit back down. My wife is super excited because her fortune cookie is saying, "You're going to find your dream home." And we had just put, an offer down on the house that I'm sitting in right now, in fact. And she just happened to say, "So what did Kirk want?" And I didn't know what to say, because I was like, I'm not going to just say, "Hey, it's him," because I don't want her blowing up in the middle of the restaurant, right? And she is a DNA analyst. And so I just kind of look at her, and I don't do anything. And she looks at me and she says, "Well, are the DNA results back?" And I just do a single nod. And she was like, "Well," and I didn't do anything. I'm just staring at her. And she goes, "No."
Oh my God.
And all I did is another single nod. And then she's like practically pushing me out of the restaurant to get into our rental vehicle so she can hear what exactly is going on. And then as I'm letting her know, and she's super excited, that's when Steve Kramer calls me, because now he knows. And then it's game on, because now it's no longer surveillance. It's an arrest has to be effected. Interviews need to occur, and it's a lot of work. So that's where, I end up flying back to California.
Wait. What did your fortune cookie say?
I couldn't tell you.
Oh,
it was one of those things where, I was because my wife was excited, "Open up your fortune cookie." And I was just so focused on Golden State Killer. I did it, and I just kind of dropped it on the plate. And then that's when she starts asking what Kirk wanted, right?
You make your own fortune. Make your own fortune. All right. So you got it.
And by the way, my wife's a huge fan of yours. She listens to your stuff all the time.
Oh, tell her I said my regards, and I'm already a huge fan of hers. That I can feel her excitement in this moment. I wouldn't have known whether to leave or to order like a double martini. It's like, what do I do? I'm not sure. I'm technically retired, but yeah, I think I need to go back. So, but they did a second pass at it, right? They decided the DA, who I also interviewed, who was running this, the woman, forgive me, I forget her name right now. Anne-Marie, thank you.
Schubert.
She was like, let's be really sure, right? And that's when there was a dumpster dive, right? Somebody took his garbage. You guys took his garbage.
Right. No, and in part, the car door handle, of course, multiple people, touch a car door. And so even though everything, the 21 markers, were shared with Golden State Killer, there was a second person in that sample in DNA. And so that's where Anne-Marie, her office, were like, no, we want a better sample. So now trash day is, I believe it was Tuesday or Monday, but Sacramento has a very clever way to collect trash without it being noticed. And I'm not going to divulge the process because they like to use that on a regular basis.
Great.
But they were able to get his trash collected, and they, Ken Clark, the homicide sergeant from Sacramento, and Lieutenant Paul Belli, I've heard the stories as they're filtering through the trash that was collected from DeAngelo. They're selecting items that look like the most promising to have his DNA on them. And they got 11 items. And then the last item that they looked at said, oh, there's a piece of tissue over there. We might as well grab it. What would it hurt? Well, that turned out to be the actual evidence item that came back with DeAngelo's single source DNA profile, and it 100% matched the Golden State Killer.
Wow. You had your man. That was it. I think in your book, I'm trying to remember, there was a line something like that. The face of evil had been identified. After all these years, you knew who it was who'd been taking up your life's work, and you were going to be able to provide that to the victims who had survived his attacks, whose lives he had all but ruined in so many cases, and so many lives he had taken. What a huge, huge moment for law enforcement, for you, everyone involved. And I can't even imagine the flow of emotions when you actually got to see him in cuffs and be at the DA's office that night.
Yeah, and again, it was such a surreal moment, because now that this masked man that I've been chasing for 24 years, there he is, unmasked, and such a weird place to be. I can't even describe the emotion, because in part, I still had a lot of work that needed to be done that night, as well as the following day. But at the same time, there was a sense of accomplishment, and it was like, okay, this is a big deal. And personally, I am very gratified that I had a role in getting the Golden State Killer here in handcuffs, sitting in an interview room.
Crazy. So what did he say when the cops went up to him? I know they decided we got to go now, and they got him on his side lawn. What happened? Did he say anything? What was he like?
Well, they ended up using a specialized team because he was such a threat. If you think about who this man is, DeAngelo, he's a law enforcement officer. He's a serial killer. He has shot at a cop in his past down in Visalia. He had more guns registered to him over the years than what the California firearms database could print out at once.
Oh, wow.
And, we were so concerned that he would fight, he would be armed, he would take his daughter hostage, grandkids hostage. So, the hope is that he would be arrested away from his house. And they were going to do a very covert type of arrest, but that didn't play out. And so they had to arrest him in front of his house. But fortunately, he moved himself over to the side yard where he was a lot isolated from doors and stuff. And then they approached him. And there was some interactions, and those interactions are part of the sheriff's specialized arrest team that I'm not going to divulge.
Oh,
but he was quickly taken into custody by, multiple individuals. Each individual had to control a limb, and he's handcuffed and placed in the back of a van. And then that's when he makes that famous statement, I've got a roast in the oven.
Black Rifle Coffee Company is a veteran-founded company serving premium coffee to people who love America. They develop their explosive roast profiles with the same mission focus learned as military members serving this great country of ours. Black Rifle Coffee imports high-quality coffee beans from Colombia and Brazil, and they roast them 5 days a week at their facilities in Manchester, Tennessee, and Salt Lake City, Utah, which means you get the freshest coffee possible no matter where you live. Enjoy the awesome packaging and unique flavors like Silencer Smooth, Lava Panther, and more. The best way to enjoy Black Rifle's freedom-filled coffee is with the Black Rifle Coffee Club. When you join the club, your brew of choice is roasted, packaged, and shipped free to your door on your schedule. It's a win-win. Purchase at blackriflecoffee.com. Use the code MK at checkout for 20% off of your purchase and your first coffee club order. That's blackriflecoffee.com/MK. Use that code MK. Black Rifle Coffee is America's coffee. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.